Anthony Ruffalo, certified financial planner here. I wanted to talk to you about college funding, 529 plans versus loans specifically. And we're just going to go over a hypothetical example. But before I start, I just wanted to say I do not sell 529 plans. It's just a personal decision that I've made in my practice, in my career. I do not profit from the sale of any type of college funding, educational funding type vehicles, or investments. Yes, there are broker sold plans or advisor sold plans. I don't do those. I direct people to directly to the source to sidestep all of the broker commissions and fees, which in my opinion are just an added tax on the system. Education is already ridiculously expensive. Let's not just add to that. Okay, so 529 plan. Let's assume a 529 plan. The benefit is that you get to use the interest and the earnings that you earn and accumulate inside of the 529 plan can be used tax-free as long as they're withdrawn for a qualified education expense, which is typically tuition, room and board, and your classic expenses. So just think if you're writing a check directly to the college, that's going to be a qualified tuition expense. So the earnings are used tax-free. Let me give you an example. Okay, let's assume you want to accumulate $100,000 in a 529 plan. What do you need to do on a monthly basis to make that happen? Well, if your kid is 5, they got 13 years to go to 18, so when college starts, you need to be putting away $427 a month. That's 156 payments of $427, and if you earn a hypothetical 6.5% rate of return on your investments, that at the end balance you'll have roughly $100,000. Now the power of this here is that you'll have, you would have put in $66,000 is your actual money you would have put into the plan, and you're going to have over $33,000 in interest. So when it gets time, your actual net dollars that it costs you for that $100,000 education is $66,000. That's pretty powerful. Now you compare that to if you don't do any saving and you borrow. Let's say you finance the whole education when the kid gets to be 18 years old. Let's say you take out a $100,000 loan or a series of loans at 5% interest rate, and you want to pay that back over the same 13-year period. You would pay $136,000 back to the institution that you borrowed from. That's $36,000 in interest, and that payment would be, so your kid, when they come out of college, they have an $873 a month monthly payment beginning right out of college, right out of the gate. The difference is it's not just $36,000 in interest. So if you're comparing saving versus financing it, you would have your actual net dollars out of your pocket. The difference, you would have saved $66,000 net dollars in your family would have retained $66,000 in net dollars because you're now using compounding interest. So if your kid graduates, and let's say they start making $45,000 a year right out of the gate, and they have an $873 a month student loan payment to make, $1,152 is what they actually have to earn in order to net the $873 to make the payment. That's 30% of their income, assuming that they're in a 24% federal bracket because they'd be single, making $45,000 a year at that time. You have to think in terms of gross and net. So that's the difference, is they're going to come out of college and 30% of their income is going to be pledged to paying back this student loan. No wonder they wind up running up credit cards because they don't have any other money. They have got rent, they've got health care, they've got transportation costs. They just be getting by. 529 plans do I prefer? Well, I can't make a blanket statement, but if you're in North Carolina, I would take a look at cfnc.org, which is the North Carolina State 529 plan. You can use it it's not just North Carolina. You can use the 529 plan and send your kid to any college in the state with the same tax advantages. And there are no loads. So it's not a broker sold plan. There are no loads. Loads are commissions associated. It's extremely low cost. In South Carolina, there is a state tax deduction offered, and there is also there are two plans. There's the direct sold plan, and then there's the advisor sold plan. Shocker, the advisor sold plan comes with commissions and loads and extra fees that goes in the broker's pocket. You can also go to the website and directly purchase the Future Scholar Direct plan and keep your fees to an absolute minimum. Hopefully you find this helpful. Appreciate you. And I also need to read my disclosure. Prior to investing in a 529 plan, investors should carefully consider whether the investors or designated beneficiary's home state offer any state tax deduction or other state benefits such as financial aid, scholarship funds, protection from creditors that are only available in investments in such states' qualified tuition program. Withdrawals used for qualified expenses are federally tax-free. Tax treatment of the state level may vary. Please consult your tax advisor before investing.